Hello and welcome to Wisdom from the Word. I'm Pastor Greg with an unusual message entitled The HAYFIELDS MaCOYS Church. Years ago, as a young Christian trying to clean up my life and live for God, I heard a most unusual story. In fact, it's one of those stories that people label you as a nut job if you tell it. Nevertheless, I'm going to go out on a limb and tell you this tale, and if you want to call me a nut job, well then, that's okay. I've been called way worse anyway. While the story did occur, as I often do, I'm going to embellish it just a little bit, to up the tempo and have a little fun, if that's okay with you. The way it was told to me is that there was a church that, in my book, should have been named the HAYFIELDS MaCOYS Church. As you might guess, this little country church was known far and wide in the county as a split church. One side was reserved for the Hatfields and the other for the McCoys. This poor little wretched church was split straight down the middle on just about everything. One side loved the pastor's sermons, while the other side was ready to kick him out to the curb. One side wanted blue paint, while the other side wanted red. One side wanted baptisms to be done in a local muddy creek, while the other side wanted a nice light blue baptistry filled with holy water. On and on the fighting and feuding continued, and you could be absolutely certain not one solitary soul on either side would dare stay home, because it meant the opposing side had more congregants present that day. The only exception was in the case of a person, well, you know, who passed on to the grand feuding grounds in the skies. Now don't you dare go away. It's about to get finger-licking good here. Anyway, it was brought up to the attention of the little split church that their 30-year-old roof was starting to leak when it rained. Some couldn't figure out why it never leaked on dry days, but that was another story we'll have to go into later. So, not having the ability to control the weather, the pastor reluctantly brought up the need for a new church roof with long-lasting shingles installed. Now, if you have been following me to this point, you probably know what's about to happen, or should I say, what's about to explode. One group wanted brown shingles, while the other group wanted gray. Neither side would give an inch, even if it meant their lives depended on it. That's just the way it was in the Hatfield and McCoy little split church. So just as the poor old pastor prophesied and dreaded would come to pass, the heated discussion began and continued for almost 2 months with nary a soul given in. It was a countrywide spectacle, you might say. Friends, people in that county had bets with their neighbors who would finally fall in the midst of the little split church battle over the color of the shingles. Finally, I suppose the Lord himself got tired of hearing about all the squalling and hollering, so he decided to send a huge gully washer. To those who may not know what a gully washer is, it's a thunderstorm the likes of which rivaled Noah's flood. But don't worry, it wasn't quite like Noah's storm, but don't think for 1 minute the Lord didn't consider it. Now remember folks, I told you I was going to take the liberty to embellish this story. I promise I'll end on a serious note. Okay, so stick with me, don't go anywhere. After the rain finally subsided and the rainbow appeared in the eastern sky, the little split church was a mess. The roof had leaked so badly the carpet bubbled up from the floor, and ducks were trying to get in the back door. It was an absolute soggy mess for sure. But did that stop all the feuding? Well, what do you think? They just picked back up where they left off, as if nothing had ever happened. Finally, the pastor had had enough. The next Sunday morning, he took a vote on which color of shingles to replace the old ones on the roof. And guess what? Yep, it was a tie. So the pastor told everyone the decision had been made and the roof would be completed by the following Sunday. But there was one catch. Everyone had to wait until the roof was done to find out which side had prevailed. So the work was begun, and by Saturday the little split church had a beautiful new shingled roof. One side was brown and the other one was gray. Now you may know of a church like the Hatfields and MaCoys little split church. I know I do. If it's not the color of the shingles, it's a gazillion other tricks up the devil's sleeve. Anyway, what's the moral of this story, you might ask? Well, the moral is this: Satan can destroy by division, and he does it every day. He will divide families, friends, relationships, marriages, businesses, governments, and yes, your church. This little split church should have been a congregation of love, peace, and unity, but it was the exact opposite. Why, you might ask? Because Satan had been allowed, that's a key word, allowed in, and he split the little church right down the middle. Consequently, the Hatfield and MaCoys church was worthless as a worship place for the Lord. The glory of the Lord had completely departed. Remember this, folks. Division is one primary weapon the devil uses. So whatever you do, please don't be like the little split church. And if you are in a church that has divisions, please pray for that church. And don't be like the little split church and be a participant. Rather, be a mature Christian that brings a godly attitude to every service. Let Christ shine to others through your example. Satan divides and conquers, but only if the church allows it. Satan and his minions are constantly driving wedges to separate people from their Creator. Listen to the book of Mark, chapter 3 and verse 24. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. Well, there you have it, folks. Short, sweet, and to the point. Be careful not to let the devil slither in and cause divisions. So until next video, this is Pastor Greg asking you to like, subscribe, and ring the solid bell notification for Jesus. And be sure to keep your eyes to the skies, for your redemption draws nigh.